What's going on, Commanders fans? A special shout out to everyone who's tuning in from the UK and across the world. Welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we are reacting live to the Washington Commanders 2026 NFL Draft. Every pick, every surprise, every what were we thinking, every moment. We're breaking it all down, the biggest hits, the questionable misses, and the one that matters. Did they actually get it right? Plus, we've got the latest news. We're diving into the undrafted free agents and sign-ins. And as always, we'll open it up to you for live fan questions. So get in the chat right now. Let me know and Scouse know, how are you feeling about the draft class in one word? And if you're new here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all them good things. We really appreciate it. It pushes the algorithm out to everybody. And enough of me rambling. We'll get on with it. So, hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 1 Point Safety Show of myself, Scott Hartley, and my glorious co-host, Scouse Andy, who has paid his electricity bill. His internet is working. It isn't me this time. How are you, mate?
Yeah, finally me. Finally my problem today. I'm 10 minutes late.
First world problems. First world problems.
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
All good, mate. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Obviously, chopping it up after the draft. You know how it is. I love the draft. I love everything that goes around it. And yeah, man, it's all good. It's all good. I'm going to run an on-screen poll, but before we do that, mate, we've got to pay the bills. So let's just have a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be back very shortly. So here's a quick word from our sponsors. We are Dunstable Town FC's Talk of the Town podcast sponsor this season. If you're into non-league football, go over and give them a follow on Talk of the Town podcast. You can also go to our other sponsor, which is myoddballs.com. Oddballs produce scarves, hats, boxer shorts, you name it, all in funky styles. There's 50% off at the moment on their store. Go ahead, go and have a look at them. It's myoddballs.com. Also, if you're into the writing side of Washington Commanders and you want to have an interaction with some of the other podcasts out there, you can go to bleedingburgundy.com. Go over, have a look, check their website out, and it will all be good for you all. Thank you, everybody, and on with the pod. Well, that's the bills paid, Scouse. So back into it. Thanks, Rod. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Arch. Thanks, everybody, for being here early. Really appreciate it. And you are absolutely right, Scott. UK technology is trash, as you would say. We'll get into it then, Scouse, mate. First pick of the night. Sonny Styles at 7, linebacker out of Ohio State. Obviously, quick background on him. You know, he was a safety for 2 years, moved over to linebacker, long, lengthy. I don't have any concerns with him at all. He can get side to side. He can be that ultimate Mike who we've been looking for to replace Bobby Wagner. Fits right into our scheme straight away. Big upside as well on him, you know, all pro potential there. What were your thoughts, obviously, initially on the first few picks of the draft that probably led us to get Sonny Styles, mate?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I've mentioned it for the past probably month, really, that I didn't think Styles would be there at 7. So that's why I was always looking at other players with my mock drafts. Couldn't believe that he fell to 7, to be honest. I mean, we did our mock draft, didn't we, on draft night? And we got the first
neither of us had Styles, but we got the first 3 picks right. You're right. Yeah,
we got the first 3 picks because everyone's going, well, was Jeremiah Love going to go to 3? No one was really talking about it too much. I know there was some slight murmurings about it from Arizona, but everyone was going, that's just a kind of flex, just to say try and trade with us to try and get more draft stock. And obviously they weren't bullshitting, and they actually pulled it off and picked a quality running back. Crazy that he's now the highest paid running back in the NFL, guaranteed money wise. But craziness. But again, so that was interesting that he went at 3. And then the next one, I was not seeing Connell Tate going at 4. there was just no way, man. Like, I was thinking, whoa, wait there a minute. Like, yeah, he's. I think he's going to be a wide receiver too. I really do. I don't think he's going to be good enough to be a true one. I mean, he might be number one at the Titans, but they've got no receivers. You know what I mean? So it's. I understand why they went for him, but they could have easily have traded down there and got Carnell probably 8, 9, 10, something like that, maybe even later. So that was a bit of a shock. 5, who the Giants pick up? They picked up the.
They picked up Ruben Bain. Arvell Reese, sorry, not Ruben Bain. Arvell Reese.
Yeah, they picked up Reese, didn't they? So again, yeah, I mean that everyone thought he was going to go second or third, didn't he? Arvell Reese. Every mock draft had him around there. So definitely it was it was a very good pick for the Giants. The way that he fell to them, again, that was a bad for us, good for them type of thing. Then the next part was the 6, wasn't it? That was KC moved up to get the lane. Now, what do you think about the lane? Because obviously we loved it. We loved that. If you picked Delane, but then we also thought like it might be a little high for him at 7. We thought it might be a little high, but obviously he went overall at 6 eventually. But then you think him, and then he called out Adam Peters as well on his draft night. Did you hear that?
I did, yeah. I mean,
you hear that? You waited around and it cost you or something like that. And it's like, well, Adam Peters was never moving up. You know what I mean? Like whoever fell to him at 7, he was going to pick. We all knew Styles was his number 1. I think we all knew that. We just didn't think he was going to be there. So if I'm delaying there, I'm thinking, why are you having a slide ticket to Peters for? I don't kind of understand that.
I don't understand that one either. I get it from your point of view. But I think the board would have been Delane and Styles and Delane. I think they probably would have thought that to themselves, we can probably get Delane here if we stick and if we stand pat and hope for the best. But you never know how the draft falls. And obviously the Carnell take, and then Kansas City, I think, panicked, thinking that New Orleans were probably going to take Delane. And they thought, we've got to get our guy. So they jumped up above, did as solid as Rod says. Gary Tucker, he's saying here, well, lads, as I sit here sweating over the Arsenal game, one thing I don't have to sweat on any longer is Sonny Styles.
Yeah, man.
Woo! Yeah, man. Yeah. And then obviously he said, the real surprise was KC jumping up.
Yeah, I mean, I think genuinely he would have been there at 9. I don't think Saints would have went for him. I think Saints still would have went for a receiver. Everyone was going on with Jordan Tyson going there, and there was a lot of talk about it over the day before and the day of the draft. Was huge about Tyson going to New Orleans at 8. Now, it might have been different. If Delane was there, they might have picked Delane, but and then maybe this guy was second on their list. Who knows? But the thing is, the way everyone was talking, that it would be receiver to go with Chris Olave. So I understand it, but Tyson's always injured, so I think it was a poor pick. I thought they reached on Tyson just a little bit there. I think they could have went for one of the better corners. If they needed a corner, they should have went down that route. But it is what it is with that one. I mean, was I surprised a little with Tyson going at 8? But as you say, people get drafted too high, just like Tate, just like Jesse's mentioned, Tate at 4 is crazy. Yeah, I mean that's right. I mean he shouldn't have went 4. There's no way he should have went 4, but it is what it is. But for us, Sonny Styles falling to us at 7. Happy days, man. Like that is a blue chip player.
I agree.
You don't get that kind of size and speed at linebacker. You just don't get it. It's just that he's probably the most athletic linebacker to ever come out of the draft ever. So, he's a 9.9 on the RAS. But even just watching film of him, he's patient in the box as well. He knows where to be. Do you know what I mean? Like he knows where to plug that gap. And I think that's down to his dad teaching him all those little intangibles. His dad played in the NFL at linebacker for a long time. Well, 6-7 years, I think he played in the NFL for. Played with London Fletcher for a few years at St. Louis. So he knows him well. So, I think he's got the intangibles. I think, he's he was definitely our number one pick. I think he was number one on our board.
I agree.
I just don't think he would have been there, but
I was all over that Harbaugh was going to take him at 5. That was it. That's his middle linebacker job done. That's exactly what I thought.
Especially losing Bobby O as well. Like they released him.
Yeah.
I thought, 100% it's going to be Styles going there, but they shocked us again. But again, Naville Reed's a quality player as well. But I just think for what we needed that Mike linebacker, that kind of green dot guy. If it wasn't going to be Downs, it had to have been Styles. So
yeah, agreed completely. Next pick then, mate, at 71, we had a bit of a chat. Obviously our chats were going crazy over the weekend, and shout out to Jesse, who was at the draft, front and center with International Fan of the Year Andy Burrows for this year. He did his pick. We'll get into that a little bit later. But at 71, we were all saying has to be wide receiver. Antonio Williams, wide receiver out of Clemson. Obviously, he's coming to us as a bit of a slot guy. Not necessarily going to play in the slot. He could play in the Z. He could play in the slot. He could play anywhere. We know he's a bit of a rack merchant. He's happy to put his head in where it hurts, to go across the middle, to get hit by safeties. Good, really sticky hands, doesn't have any real high drop rate, anything like that. This guy's coming in as wide receiver 2. Yet to be determined who will be wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1A, 1B, whichever way round you want to work it. But there's a slot there waiting for somebody, and obviously we all think it's going to be Brandon Ayuk that's going to come in. But this guy, he's got massive upside again, and I thought it was an absolute steal of a pick at 71. Didn't really see much of him being mocked to us. I saw the Ted Hursts of the world, these sort of people. But Antonio Williams, man, he was on most draft boards around 50. Some I've seen as high as in the late 30s. I think they averaged it out was 44. So a bit of value there as well, Scouse.
Yeah, and I think that's what you'll find from most of the draft picks that we actually picked throughout the order of each round. It was guys that should have went higher, but fell for whatever reason. I think you'll find that quite a lot.
There's a poll in the chat. Sorry to cut over your, Scouse. It says grade the Commanders 2026 draft class. Pick between 1 and 4. Just type the number in the chat. So number 1 is elite. Then we have solid. We have meh, and we have concerned. So 4 is concerned. 1 is elite. Solid is 2. Meh is 3. Just in the chat, pop your number in the chat. 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then it will come through on this poll. We'll hide the poll off the screen so Scouse can continue talking. Sorry, mate.
No, it's all right. You can hide my ugly mug if you want. That's not a problem. I'd say, was he on our radar? No. I don't think any one of us has spoke about Antonio Williams coming to us. We always talk about, as you say, the other dudes, the Ted Hursts, the Malachi Field, Brazel, all these guys. So. Yeah. It definitely wasn't on our radar. I think when you look at the tape, especially from 2024, he was electric, man. Like 2024, he was electric. Mm-hmm. Last year, he got injured, so he didn't play as many games. Also,
quarterback was terrible.
Yeah, Clemson was shocking all season.
Klubnik not good.
Yeah. He was awful. So unfortunately, Williams was the most solid, dependable receiver last year. But again, he didn't play all games because he got hurt, I think, first game of the season. And then he was out for a few games, and he was still battling injuries most of the season. So he didn't really see the best of him last year. But the year before, he looked damn good, man. People were saying that he was potentially going to be the number 1 wide receiver coming into this draft, what we just had.
Wow.
At the end of 24 season, so going into last season for him, his junior year, they were saying that he could potentially be the number 1 receiver off the board. If he had a similar type season as his 24 year, which obviously he didn't, hence why he fell. But that shows that this guy's got high upside, got that high quality of him. Yes, okay, he's not a true, X or pure outside receiver, but you can use him. What you see from Clemson, you use them a lot of wide receiver screens, and you use them a lot as in the slot. That's mostly where you see them, really. Now, the problem is with us that we don't play a true slot receiver all the time. We like to put a lot of 12 person out there, which means the tight ends are out there rather than
the tight ends. Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's the problem we have with getting him involved. But I wouldn't say he's wide receiver 2. I still think we're going to get Ayuk. I think this guy's going to be fighting slot / wide receiver 3, along with the guy from the Titans last year or 2 years ago. What's his name?
Burks.
Yeah, Treylon Burks. Yeah. That's what I think as well. So, but again, this guy's got upside, man. He's got separation skills, which is a lot of wide receivers don't have. He's not blistering with his speed, but he's fast enough, and he's big enough, really. I mean, people say, "Oh, he's quite short," but he's 5'11". I mean, that's not short, really. Yeah, of course, it would be nice to be 6'2", sure, but again, the guy's got a good high vertical jump as well. If you look at his combine stats, so it's all relative, and I think he'll do a good job for us. I really do. If we use him the right way, I think you can get a lot out of him.
Yeah, agreed. Jesse said I talked about him a month ago, but he left my radar because I thought he'd be long gone. Yeah, I remember that. I remember you bringing it up on the Bleeding Burgundy, Jesse, talking about him, and I did a bit of research into him and then left it there. Gary says, I predict will really excel in play breakdowns while disciplined. He seems to be the type able to stay open for daily scrambles. I agree with that, mate.
I think one of the big things that he's great at is finding playing against zone defense. He's really, really good at finding that soft center, that soft kind of area where there's no defender, especially when, let's say, when plays break down. Exactly what you're saying. I think he will be a big killer for opposing defenses who play a lot of zone, because he's got that natural kind of gift of like finding the soft zone when plays break down. So I think Jaden will use him a bit like he did with Zacchaeus a couple of years ago. I think he'll use him a lot like that. That was his kind of go-to check down receiver. You know what I mean? Zacchaeus was, I thought, in the good season we had. And obviously last year he wasn't here, and I think he missed a player like that. And I think this guy can be that replacement.
I think we'll get into it. I mean, wide receiver room, Scouts. Before we do that, the chat's flying, so let's just have a little bit of a catch up on the chat. As it stands at the moment, let's pause for a second. So Jesse says, obviously, separation is much better than being taller. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Arch Deluxe says, the tall wide receivers are overvalued. Look at the height of the top wide receivers. Gary Tucker, again, thanks, Gary, for being with us. He said, according to some reports, AP might be looking at Byron Jenkins instead of BA. I don't know about that. He creates separation, Rod says. Yeah, agreed, mate. Completely with you as well. And yeah, man, we've caught up with the chat there, so happy days with that.
Yeah, so he's a master of finding space in the zone against zone defense.
I've been thinking about this and thinking, let's look at this this wide receiver room. Now, if we all assume that Brandon Ayuk is there, and it's a big assumption, let's just put that out there. How many wide receivers are you keeping? Because realistically, it's going to be 6, possibly 7. Yeah. But you've got to remember you're overstuffed other areas like safety, like defensive line now, edge rusher, outside linebackers, whatever you want to call them. We have a lot of players on here. I mean, at the moment, we don't have a single roster spot available. We have 90 men right now. Oh, wow. So it is including the UDFAs, which we'll get into a little bit later. But there isn't a single spot left right now. So somebody is getting cut. Now, granted, your Carlin Vigors of the world are not going to be here.
You've got 90 staff now right now. You don't need to cut anyone.
Yeah, but you can't. You don't need to. But if you're bringing an Ayuk in, you're going to have to cut someone for him to do training camp. Is what I'm meaning. But I'm not saying let's break down the 53 right away. But if you look at the wide receiver room as it stands, Jalen Lane and Luke McCaffrey are not going anywhere. I don't care what people are saying, what fans are saying out there. They are not going anywhere. They give you too much on special teams as it is. One is a punt returner. One is a kick returner. Now, have they lived up to the hype? We don't know. We'll get there. It could be a breakout season for one of them.
I think McCaffrey improved. I think he's proved that he can take it to the house, and that's important.
You see, what I mean? Rod, I don't agree with you that Lane will end up on a practice squad. Someone will take him. If that's the case, I just disagree with you there. I think, and Jesse doesn't believe me, I know the team love Burks, but I can't see how he stays, mate. Van Jefferson?
No, I think he's on the bubble. I do. I think Van Jefferson's on the bubble. I do think they like Burks. Don't forget, this guy's a first-round talent.
Yeah.
He's not lived up to it, but again, he was a first-round talent for a reason. It means he's got great traits. And look at that catch he did, that one on the grab was unreal. for us last year.
I know. Yeah,
all the time. That's the only problem. He's brittle. That's the problem. But again, would you keep him? I would. I'd say he's going to stay in the team. I do. I think it'll be more the newer guys, like the guys on the cheaper contracts. Those type. The Van Jeffersons. I think they're the guys on the bubble who are going to be fighting it out, rather than losing a bit of Burks or even the Lane or I think McCaffrey stays. Even though I've heard some people say they might trade. Might trade McCaffrey to try and get Ayuk and stuff like that, but it just doesn't make any sense to do that if you're Washington. No. It doesn't make any sense at all, because if you trade for them or you offer a pick for next year or whatever it is, or player or pick, it doesn't matter. You still got to have their $30 million a year contract. You've got to take that. You've got to take that contract on.
Yeah, I was listening to Rappaport earlier, and he was saying it's 27 mil he's owed, 27 mil. So that's a big number, mate. And the thing is, you can rework that. Yes, you can rework that. Even if you do agree to a trade of some description, you absolutely can rework that. Rappaport saying 10 mil-ish is kind of where you're looking at on a 1-year prove-it deal, and I think that's about right. But he's not going to come. He's not going to come to the team if he's got that amount of money waiting at the moment and you're taking that contract on. You can rework it, as we said, but is he going to want to do that? I don't think he's going to want to do that.
He's not going to want to rework it. But the thing is, though, for him, it's kind of, he obviously doesn't give a shit about the money deep down, because if he did, he wouldn't have acted in a way that allowed the Niners to forfeit his guarantees. So
I don't understand this. This is something I don't get, Scouse. And Phil, you're perfectly entitled to your opinion, mate. No problem at all. I get you. He's saying, why draft Williams? So have three slot receivers. Then he's saying before the draft, wide receiver was the biggest need. After draft, big need outside wide receiver. Why draft Williams? Because he's not an outside receiver, mate. He can play both. He can play outside. He's not a slot receiver. He is more of a slot receiver. I'll give you that. Yeah. But he can play outside as well. But at the same time, it's like, who are you getting at 71? And his best player. They've probably looked at the board and said, best player available. Who is it? And that's who
on his board, on their board, because obviously there was other wide receivers at that level at 71. The Malachi Field, I think, went to the Giants at 74. So there was receivers there that we all thought it's going to be one of those guys. Williams wasn't anybody's radar, but I think what AP has looked at the situation he was in, as in Williams was in. Last year, Clemson were horrible, and he still produced okay. Where the year before, they had a better team, and he really showed up. And I said before, he was going to be highly ranked coming into this year's draft if he had a good season last year, which he didn't because Clemson was shocking. But so he obviously has the high upside skill. Yes, he might be a slot most of the time, and he might be a wide receiver screen guy more than a true deep threat. But we've got deep threats. We've got speedy guys. We've got Jalen Lane is speedy. You know what I mean? Like Terry McLaurin can still get past the DB. These guys can still be your deep shot guys. So Williams is going to be useful. He's going to be useful, a protective blanket, like what Zach Ertz was. Obviously, we're not getting Zach Ertz. So we're going to be using Williams more like that. And then we're going to be using Chig as a deep threat tight end. So
exactly.
So this is how we're going to flip it a little bit. Williams is going to be that kind of set down, 5-10 yard pass. That's it. You're not going to see him and hope that he can get yak. That's the idea. And he is. That's where his good skill set is. He can beat players. But last year he did. So.
Shout out to Andy, National Fan of the Year, did his pick. We'll get onto that in a second. He said Williams is a slot guy, but gives you flexibility. End of. Great pick. And then moving back down, again, we've got Jesse here. Jesse says, wide receivers are interchangeable in this offense. They'll move inside, outside every play. So, yeah, absolutely backs up your point there. He is like going to try to be the Amon-Ra St. Brown of this team. Whether he lives up to that hype or not, I'm not saying he is Amon-Ra St. Brown, but that's kind of how David Blau is probably going to use him. Let's be fair. AP better extend Terry immediately. Phil says, I don't know about either. The money that Terry's going to get next year is outrageous. I think this is Terry's last year with the team. But we'll
even Will mentioned William playing through a hamstring problem most of the last season. So again, he wasn't going to be as explosive, but he wasn't. The year before, that was his best. The 2024 season. But yeah, and exactly, yeah, Klubnik as his QB. Horrible quarterback. So yeah, I mean, I'd say there's a lot of high upside. He just wasn't on my radar because I just didn't think he would be there. Being honest, I thought he'd be a second round pick. Being honest with you, I thought he'd be a late second rounder. And plus, I just thought, like, to be honest, he just went off my radar. He wasn't really on it. Not gonna lie. But again, when you look into it, not just this season, but like the season before, and he's still a young lad. I think he's only 21. I think he played at 18. College. He started early there, and he's got some juice to him. He's not absolute burner, but he's good enough to making like linebackers miss and stuff like that. So, I'm happy with it. I mean, could we have got potentially a bigger name? Potentially, yeah, we could have, but I mean, I'm not upset. I mean, yeah, sure. Could we use a taller receiver? Yeah, we could do, but again, it depends how you're going to play, how Blau wants to really play a system. I mean, when you look at, obviously we're going to try and connect him to Detroit, aren't we? At the end of the day, like his offense is going to be similar to what, the Lions had over the last couple of years or whatever. But the Lions didn't really have any true massive receivers. Did you have any 6'5" guys?
Nope.
6'4" guys? I don't think they did. I mean, I could be wrong. Someone might have me off in a minute, but I don't think they did. I'm on St. Brown's their best receiver, and I say he's a potential slot/outside guy. He was a third rounder who he probably shouldn't have been there. He should have been higher up, and Williams exactly the same kind of thing. So you just don't know. You just don't know how it's going to play out. But end of the day, I'm always going to give the rookies a chance. So I'm always going to try and see if the unknown for me, yes, it's a bit scary, but it's still kind of a case of let's give the guys a shot first before dogging on them a little bit. I'm the same because I dog on players regularly, but when I've seen them and I know what they're about, that's when I give you my real opinion on them. You know what I mean? At the moment, I'm just going off traits and things that he could potentially give us. And I think he's got something that we don't have. And a jack. That's the thing. We don't have that. I have a lot of that in our receiver room.
Agreed. We'll get into it then. Pick 147, Joshua Josephs, the edge out of Tennessee to America's team. Mr. Burrows. I mean, fair play. I loved it. Obviously, the thing that pissed me off the most, he did get a lot of boos from the Dallas team, which was fan base that was there, which was awesome. I hope you kicked Mr. Canman's head mobile phone out of his hand for me, Andy. But hey, it is what it is. No, to be fair, good pick. Unbelievable to see Andy on the stage to do his thing. It was awesome to watch him do that. We didn't see it live, which was just ridiculous, and we know why. We understand why. We know the reason why we're never live when it's a fan doing a pick, or even sometimes a player. You are coached backstage. This is what you must say. This is what you can and can't say. I'm sure they're doing that with the alumni, as in players wise, but for international fans, etc., they're scared we're going to say the old name, Scouse. That's exactly what it is. So that's why we're always on, TV commercials, or Dallas's fucking head coach getting interviewed while Burrows is in the background shouting "America's team," which I thought was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't write it. You couldn't write it.
That's why they put Dallas up, so he knew Bo was going to say America's team. I thought, is that right? We'll throw Dallas on the TV for you at the same time.
We've spoke to him since, and he said he just did it off the cuff. Which is awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, what I was trying to say is just kind of, why did you got to kick us in the nads with a Dallas bollocks again? Do you know what I mean? Like, it could have been any other team, or even just talking to each other. The commentators in the booth. You could be just talking about a certain player instead. No, it's got to be Dallas. It's got to have their fucking coach on. It's got to have this and that. Like, fuck off, man. Like,
it was Sean McVay was on when I was on last time.
Yeah, it was Sean McVay for you when you were on last year, and then this year it was fucking douchebag from Dallas. So I'm just like, what are you doing, man? Like, how are we getting that off there?
Douchebag from Dallas.
Yeah, douchebag from Dallas, 100%.
Schottenheimer, yeah. Cheers.
Yeah, Schottenheimer. I mean, it's insane, man. Like, it really pisses me off.
Exactly, Deluxe. Did he pump the Cowboys inner circle phone? I don't think he did.
No, you did though, and I saw that guy was on telly again. He was there again.
He was. That's why I said, "Can man."
Yeah, yes, blue like police fucking lights on his head, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
things on his head, and you booted his phone. That was class, though.
But back to Joshua Joseph though. What I thought this was a really good pick. I think he's a situational, a designated pass rusher. Sorry, straight away. He's got good length. His arms are long, longer than they probably should be. So he's got a good get off. His bend is very good when you watch him on tape. He's got that edge rusher bend when you can bend around the corner. He's like a heat-seeking missile towards there. Sorry, I know, Andy. I said edge rusher there, and we've got to be clear. It's defensive end. So they made it clear that he said defensive end. So yeah, man, it's a defensive end. I think he's a situational pass rusher at the moment, and that's great. That's great.
I mean, he replaces the Von Miller type. I'm not saying he's Von Miller. I'm just saying that type that we had. Is that kind
of exactly that
situational pass rusher. I think he's very explosive. Actually, a lot faster than people think. So you see his tape. It's like, oh, he's making NFL caliber tackles miss. It's kind of like this guy's got some explosiveness to him. As you say, he's purely a pass rusher. I don't think you're going to ask him to do much like set the edge, or you're not going to ask him to try and hold out in the run game too much. It's kind of, he's very, very explosive, and I think he'd be useful, definitely. But again, at the time,
genuine 4.4 speed as well, Scouse, man.
You see his face when he got drafted, though, when he was with his family. Man, that guy was fuming, Mo.
He was not happy. He was not happy.
Now, I don't know if he's fuming because he didn't want to play for us, so he just started. He felt that far.
Yeah, I mean, I seen a lot of boards saying he was a mid-second rounder, if not third round pick, and it's like,
so why did he fall so far?
You got him in the fifth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I have no idea.
I mean, no wonder he's probably thinking, "Damn, after we get third round money instead of getting fifth round money."
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
he wasn't happy. But fair play, Andy. I hope for your sake he turns into a Hall of Famer. But it is what it is, mate.
And that's that thing, isn't it? It's kind of this is the thing he's seen from an AP in this draft. He went away from the Raz after the first, obviously after Sonny Styles.
Yeah, we'll get into that, mate. Yeah,
and then it was kind of, we're getting a lot of value for our pick. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. As I say, Will mentions here, he dropped 70 spots further than expected. This guy, he should have been say a third rounder. We got him in the fifth. It's just we picked high value players. More value than the pick is worth. So this is where AP's changed his style a little bit. Before it was all about the Raz. Last year was all about the Raz. This year, completely different. So interesting, man.
Boris says, if you haven't seen it, it's at Commander Bunker. Go and give them a subscribe. He says that draft card is buying me a new home in 10 years. Do you want to swap, mate? I'll give you Kane Madranos.
You never know. Madrano still might come good, mate. You never know.
Yeah, you never know, mate. You never know. You never know. Next pick, then, mate. We'll go through 187. Was Catron. Yeah, go on, mate. Yeah, go for it.
No, it's just
players for.
Yeah, go on.
Players for because of runs at positions. Stick to the board. Don't chase. Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you, Arch. I think that's bang on. Pick 187 Scouse in the 6th round. Catron Allen, Fat Man. As he's known. I've got something to say about that. That's my nickname. Running back out of Penn State. He got the most all-purpose yards ever in Penn State history last year. 15 touchdowns. This guy's a brute. He's a beast. I think, again, value-wise, really, really good pick. I talked about this yesterday on Bleeding Burgundy, a little bit on the bunker as well. I think he's not going to challenge necessarily Bill for the running back one. I think it's this committee, same as David Blau, like with a Detroit style offense between Gibbs and Montgomery at the time. It's going to be Bill and Allen at the same time. It's going to be first, then someone takes the second, then someone else goes in and takes first, then someone else. It's going to be that. It's that committee running back style. Then you've got bloody Jaden Daniels' mate who came from Tampa Bay. White, we've got him as the pass catching back. And that running back room is really crowded as well, especially with Ford and McNichols. It's you ain't keeping 5 running backs, mate. That's for sure.
No. And I think that's going to be the scary thing for people like McNichols and Ford. I think personally, they're the ones that are on the hot seat right now. I mean, I like McNichols. I think he's great on special teams. The problem is, can you carry one person specifically for you a fourth RB4, but then you're playing him mostly as a special teamer? I mean, maybe you can get away with it. Maybe you can make it work, but again, it's borderline stuff. That Catron Allen. Yeah, man. I mean, when you start looking at this guy runs hard, man. This guy reminds me of Chris Rodriguez in a big, big way, but a better version. He runs the same style, hard nosed. He's not lightning fast. Like this guy's not going to take it to the house 50 yards. Like he ain't going to do that. He's going to get caught. He hasn't got that. I think he's a 4.5, 4.56, something like that, kind of 40. That's what I've read about that. What his pro day was. So he's not, and he doesn't have a full RAS score. He didn't do all the metrics, so we haven't got a RAS score for him. But I think he ran 4.56. Now again, with his build, how he is, and he's also a great pass protector as well. So what you'll find with this guy is that you'll find him on third down, even though you're thinking he's really a third down back. I don't think he is, but he's a great pass protector. So you're going to find him on the field more often than not, because that's where Bill falls down. He's awful at pass pro. So I think he's going to dig in. I really do dig into Bill's reps. I really do. I think this guy's got enough about him. Exactly right, Rod. I was going to say that. When you're looking at kind of the Blau system there, he had Thunder and Lightning, didn't he? He had Gibbs and he had Montgomery. And this is what he's trying to create here. This guy is the Montgomery, the Thunder, and then you've got White is quicker than people think. So
that's why White will be the third down back, in my opinion, especially or pass catching kind of back. You don't want to tell you don't want to tell your hand, but I think he's getting first reps, out the gate. Don't be surprised, if next year.
I wouldn't be surprised how he do it, but
yeah,
I think it's going to be, I'd say, a committee, but I don't think. I think they're not going to be like 1, 2, and 3. It's going to be like 2A, 2B. 2, 3, 2C. Do you know what I mean? Like that, like 3 guys really, rather than one guy getting ridiculous amount of reps and everybody else getting nothing. I can really see it being spread about, and I think So White's a lot better than people are portraying him. Like the guy was quality before he got Bucky Irvin in. I mean, he was doing 1,500 yard seasons, man, at Tampa. And then they bought Bucky, and then obviously he took most of the running workload, and White was just left with the receiving stuff. And White still was productive. This guy can do it. This guy can do it both. Like, can do both. But I just think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be cool. We actually got some different styles of running backs. I think it's going to be really useful.
I agree with you. Jesse says, "Pump the brakes on Fat Man. Pump the brakes where people are too high on him." I don't know, mate. If you can produce it in a decent college, I'm saying you're going to be all right.
You say he's productive in a big school against big teams. So it's kind of, why wouldn't he produce? I'm not saying he's going to be RB1 straight away. I genuinely believe White's going to be RB1. As if you're going to put it in a roster, I think White would be down as RB1 on the list. And then it'll be Bill, and then it'll probably potentially this guy. So. But again, overall, they're all going to play a lot. I think it's not going to be just one. It's not going to be just like Barkley and then the rest. It's not going to be like that. You know what I mean? It's going to be a committee easily with 3 guys at least. So
next pick then in round 6, 209, we took Matt Golbin, center out of Michigan State. Obviously, you were desperate for a center, as you know, because you don't like Al Spaghetti or Al Shitty, as you call him. What are your thoughts on Matt Golbin now you've been able to watch a little bit of film, see some of the bits and pieces there? Because initially you were like, Logan Jones has gone. What's happening with this? We haven't got anyone now. Parker Brailsford's gone. You're like, all the centers are gone.
Everybody was gone besides Golbin. So
Trey Zune went. Wait, why is Trey Zune gone to the frigging Raiders? Like, what?
Yeah, man.
They're going to play him at guard.
I thought exactly. I thought Raiders drafted great this year, taking McCoy in the 4th. I mean, not to risk because it was knee, but damn, that's good value. You know, I thought they knocked out the park. I really did. The Raiders, which is rare because they normally fuck it up. You know, so I'm really, really impressed with their draft this year. So with Matt Golbin, now you're talking about Raz scores. I think Deluxe mentioned
terrible, like 3.4 or something.
3.5, 3.5 Raz. So that tells you he's not very athletic. Okay, so what that tells you, but then when you see his film as well, what he's good at is literally the anchor point and going forwards into the second level, to do blocks into second level. You ask him to try and, jump outside to the outside a lot. He's going to struggle. His lateral quickness isn't there. He doesn't have lateral quickness. That's why it is what it is. You ask him to do that, he's going to struggle. If you do inside run schemes, he does well in. All right. If you do outside run schemes, which I think is what we're going to do more of, he's going to struggle. Right. So this is the problem. So unless he can somehow get a little bit quicker or they design it like perfect for him, I don't think he's going to suit our system properly. I just think it's just one of them. If you do a lot of inside zone, I think you'll do really well. But I think if you do outside zone a lot, which I think we're going to be doing more of, because I think we've got Cosme, we've got Tunsil, we've got guys who can really go out to the outsides. I think that's where we're going to be running the ball more. And I think Golbin struggles. So that's the problem I've got. So.
Yeah, Will says here, Golbin started 4 years at left guard, right tackle at Wake Forest before starting centre for LSU.
The problem is his lateral quickness is awful. Like, he doesn't have the foot speed at all. So to handle, that's the reason why I think moving to centre.
Yeah, Golbin's a project, might be ready in 2027.
Essentially, am I unhappy with it? No, we needed a centre. Definitely.
It's better than good Judy and good Jones, let's be fair.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just hoping that, Golbin can hit the ground running and really push Al-Shitty for starts now, rather than, next year, like what Jesse mentions, or a couple of years' time. Well, we've got him for 4 years, and they say we needed a centre. We didn't have anybody even at depth. So, was I unhappy with the pick? No. But I definitely was panicking near the end going, there's no centres left. There's actually one dude left, and we got him. So I was like, okay.
Still keep hearing these whispers that Brandon Coleman might move to centre, I still keep hearing that.
I mean, if he is, his snaps are gone. I think that's the thing.
Yeah. That's one thing with Golbin I had noticed. His snaps are very, very good.
Yeah, and he's only played it 1 year. He only played 1 year with centre, so again, there's a lot more.
At 209, dude, you're throwing pins at a dartboard here, aren't you? Let's be honest, when you're getting towards the very, very hoping,
but you gotta think though with your Peters, you're thinking that these guys are going to make the team. Like that's the whole point. You select them, isn't it? You don't go, I'm just throwing random darts. It's like, no, this guy could actually play. You know what I mean? So I'm always thinking that these guys are potentially going to be starters. I'm always thinking until they're proved otherwise.
It's an upside. It's an upside pick, isn't it? That's what you're trying to do.
My upstart is my upside is Allegretti's awful. So no, forget this Pro Bowl bollocks, mate. Just no, man.
If he balls out, mate, and is unbelievable, you are eating some serious crow on it. Like,
hey, I'll eat the crow, but the thing is, I've been 5 years, mate. I know what he's about.
Crow sandwich, mate.
I've seen what he's about, mate. I've seen what he's about. I've seen him for, 3, 4, 5 years. He's not good.
Get your fucking cleats on. Get your cleats on. Get yourself to training camp, son. You'll be all right. Then the final pick of the draft, pick 223 in round 7. Ethan Kalik-Manis, quarterback out of Rutgers. Came out of nowhere. I was a bit like, oh, okay. That's not even a depth corner. That was my initial thought. Then that was genuinely my initial thought. Like, what? And then I've realised in my back of my head, Sam Hartman, sorry ladies, but he's gone. And for a QB3 that could potentially be QB2 next year, that's kind of where you want to go when you're in the system, you understand it more, you're working with Jaden, you're working with Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota is not going to stay around forever. That's a certainty, especially with the money that we're paying him.
I mean, he even said himself, didn't he? He wanted to go back west and didn't really get the opportunity to do that, really. So that's why he said he'd rather stay here on the similar money because he enjoys working with the team and all the rest of it. But in the day, he's from the West Coast. You know what I mean? He wants to go. I think he just want to go back home. So I do think this is definitely 100% as last year here. Even if he plays well or plays shit, it doesn't matter. I think he is literally going. He is going to lead the team at the end of the season. So, and that's a valid point from Will. The first developmental QB since Sudfeld. Now, the thing is with this guy, I mean, they obviously like him. They bought him in a couple of times for.
They brought him into Top Golf. When we all went through it on this show and went, who was at Top Golf? And we went, who the hell's this QB? Like, bizarre. Yeah. That's clearly why. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they obviously like the guy. So he's meant to have a good arm. I'm not seeing anything of him, but whatever. This guy's got a strong arm, which is always useful. But again, I've got no idea about the guy yet. I've not really seen anything of him, and I've got no idea what his strengths and weaknesses are yet. But yeah, I mean, but again, at that level, at the 7th round, Peters has hit on a quality 7th round quarterback before, so maybe this guy could be the next QB2 for us. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping it is because say Hartman, isn't it? We've seen what he can do. Awful. And Mariota says he's not going to be here next year. I just think he wants to either start somewhere else, or I think deep down he wants to go back. I say back west. So. Where he still lives. I think he still lives in Oregon, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So he wants. So I can understand why being across the country is a bit shit. Like, if his family's on the other side of the country, but yeah, that's understandable. Or AK.
As a QB, AK, yeah, that's the best thing. As a QB3, Calic Manis, is that butchered that probably. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be absolutely fine. So yeah, it is one of them.
My interesting bit was why didn't he get Nussmeier instead?
It was something to do with his back, wasn't it? He had
but he needs a surgery on his back. He's got some sort of cyst on his back or something that's messing with his nerves. That's it. So it's kind of like that's why he struggled last year. He played through it last year, but he was struggling. He had a bad season. Year before he was, potentially a bloody Heisman guy. Another one, ridiculous high upside, and then obviously injury last year really made him struggle. But he tried to fight it out. I thought that would have been a more interesting pick. Let's say get him fixed. Get the surgery. He doesn't have to play this next year. This year coming up. I think that would have been really useful. But whatever. I'd say I'll give the guy a shot. So yeah, I mean, Will, yeah, you're right. He did throw a lot of interceptions last year, but I think because he's been injured and he's struggling to feel his fucking legs and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if you're trying to play through that one, that's a tough guy. You want one of those guys at QB, And two, it's kind of like, well, okay, yeah, I couldn't set my feet properly, I couldn't release it properly. You know what I mean? All the rest of it. So, I'm not gonna give him a full pass, but I'm gonna give him half a pass for his poor season last year. But I do think, like, if he got right, a couple of years, I think he could be ready. You know what I mean? And I think that might have been the better pick rather than Kalinakis. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Deluxe already coined him the Greek rifle. I'm saying Zeus. Just try and keep to the Greco-Roman theme of things.
Yeah. Well, the only thing he's going to be holding a spear. He's not going to be holding the ball, is he?
That's true. Yeah, that's it. We'll shift gears a bit, Scouse, because the draft doesn't end, obviously, with the final pick. We'll cover the key free agents and surprise signings that we've got, and maybe some roster battles on the cards, and we'll ask the chat as well who they think is going to make it. We signed quite a few undrafted free agents straight after. The first one was Fred Davis, the second cornerback out of Northwestern. Quentin Moore, tight end from Washington. Jeffrey Mba, D tackle out of SMU. Chris Hilton Jr., wide receiver out of LSU. Jaden Bradley, wide receiver out of UNLV. And Robert Henry Jr., running back out of UTSA. And then we also signed the kicker. We've got kicker Drew Stevens out of Iowa. We've got the guy called Tano Togai, an offensive guard from Utah. I like guards out of Utah. Let's be honest, mate. They're breathing well up there. Malik Spencer, who's a safety out of Michigan as well. So, question for the chat then. Which UDFA do you think has the best chance to make the roster? And Scouse, what about you? Which UDFA do you think has the best chance to make the roster?
I think the kicker.
Yep, I agree with you. Drew Stevens.
When you see
Drew Stevens is gonna take Moody's job, says Will. Yeah, the only one that will make it is the kicker, says Jesse.
Yeah.
But is a unit, says Rod. I haven't seen him.
Most guys are units, though, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, when you thing is with the Stevens is like you see him hit that 72-yarder.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, but he's got nobody against him. Come on, bro. If there's an 80,000 people in the stands,
the distance.
Yeah, it does. It does.
There's
80,000 people in the stands, and there's linemen against you, and there's people in front of you.
Yeah, and there's 50,000 people watching you, and I get it. It is different, but yeah, I think.
Well, the kicker has already signed. You're right. You're right, Gary. He has signed for us, so he is actually on our active roster. So he is a rookie signing. I'll give you that. But of the undrafted free agents, then that are left.
But for him, you see, he only got signed because Buffalo were going to sign him.
Buffalo, yeah, that's right. Buffalo said we'll take you on our active roster.
Yeah,
but we offered more money, so more guaranteed money. So
I mean, to be fair, who did Buffalo have as kicker? Is it Bass?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, he's a decent kicker. He's not going to beat him out. Do you know what I mean? So, like, at least with Jake Moody, I know his stats weren't actually that bad for us, to be honest. That's why I was happy we signed him back. I thought he played quite well for us last year, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, but it's definitely up for grabs though, that position, because you didn't pay Moody a lot of money. It's not like it's one of them. No. So it's going to be interesting.
Gary says if Hilton stays healthy, he's got a shot. I don't disagree with that in a camp battle. Obviously, has a connection with Jaden Daniels from being at LSU together. But it's a crowded room, mate. It's a really crowded room, and that's the problem you have there. I mean, Hilton, Van Jefferson, De'Ami Brown, Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey, and/or another, Terry McLaurin, and Williams. I mean, there's 8 straight away. And then you've also got this other undrafted free agent that signed in, what did I say his name was? Jaden Bradley. And it's like, I just think there's too many there. It's a numbers game. Practice squad, futures contract. Yeah, that's probably where they're going to be. I get that. As Scott G says, Hilton will be on a practice squad. I agree with you. I think you never know. Someone else's roster, they might look at it and say, hey, as a wide receiver 5, we can take him. But it's a crowded room. So for anyone other than the kicker to make this team, it's going to be an absolute miracle. We're not going to have the same as we did last year, where you Colson, not last year before. Colson Yankoff. Last year, Ali Cahoe. Yeah, you're on. Weirdly enough, we've screamed about it for years, Scouse. Depth. Now you look at this team and you go, we've actually got a bit of depth here in certain positions, and things that were weaknesses last year in linebacker, defensive end, edge rusher, safety room. They're all now strengths because of what Peters did in the offseason, not just the draft, who he signed. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I saw something earlier about Clavion Chason turning down, was it 20 million over 3? Oh, no, it wasn't. It was 30 million over 3, I think, with the with the Saints, and he decided, no, I'm gonna stay here. Yeah, no, sorry, I'm lying to you. It's a 3-year deal worth 40 million from the Saints. He turned down.
Really?
To come here for 11 on a 1-year deal.
Well, that shows that he, 1, didn't like the Saints, and 2, that he backs himself to earn a good contract here. So
his first thing that came out of his mouth was, well, are the Saints going to be in the playoffs? And, who they got quarterback? And Chris Olave mentioned him, and that was about it. And then he started in that little clip.
He didn't believe in Tyler Shook. He didn't believe in Tyler.
No, he did not. He did not.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, that's crazy, to be fair. I mean, you're coming from a team who got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That obviously weren't going to pay him. That's the reason why he left, right? But still, then he comes to us, who I say we were shocking last year. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some good pieces. I understand JD's here, and everyone's going to go, oh, you know what? I'd love to play with that guy. Just like Von Miller did. Now, he could have went to Seattle. He could have won the Super Bowl. Instead, he came to us because he believed in our quarterback, and we didn't get anywhere. He wasn't available. See what I mean? So I understand that we are now players are more favourite, putting us as favourites at times over other teams, which is great.
And that's exactly what that's exactly what Jesse said. He said he was on that video. He said Commanders are contenders. I don't know. After last season, it's going to take a lot to get back. But what you've done, if you just looked at us and said, "Oh, they've signed Chanel. Oh, they've signed Adafiowe. Oh, they've signed Charles Omenihu. Oh, they've signed." Then they've got all these draft picks coming in. Oh, you've got Sonny Styles. Oh, okay. Sonny Styles wasn't there at the time when Chason signed, but if you looked at who was signing for this team, you're like, yeah, get me some of that.
Yeah, there's something going on there. Yeah, there's something going on there, and then obviously you meet Devonta Jones, and everyone loves the guy. So it's kind of like, okay. So I understand why we are an attractive team to go to, but I wouldn't say we're contenders just yet. I mean, I think we're going to pump the brakes.
No chance.
Pump the brakes on that. Last year we just caught lightning in the bottle. Sorry, 2 years ago. We didn't really have a good defense. It was just Jaden absolutely on fire. Like, it was just crazy. He was scoring 40 points a game. 30 points a game. And if he's got to do that every match to win a game, then that's not going to be good. Now, obviously, this year, defense on paper does look a hell of a lot better. But again, we still got a lot of depth issues. I think at corner. I think corners is awful. I think we've got a couple of decent starters, but after that, you got nothing. And then you're like, so now, linebacker is a massive upgrade. What we've done there. I love Leo Chanel. I wanted us to draft him when he came out in the draft when Kansas got him. Fantastic player, sideline to sideline. Sonny Styles can do the same stuff. You know what I mean? No. And now we've got Mike. Well, we've got a guy who can actually play the mic who's very, very smart. You can tell he's smart as well. And great communicator. And that Ohio State on defense, most of the guys are. Like, if you notice that, like, Downs was, there, and Styles and Reese, all very good communicators, And I think, he's going to take this defense over the top. Him and Chanel are going to be an unreal tandem. I really do. I really believe it. And that's going to help our DBs a lot more and everything else. I was on with that. Same with the edge rush, the pass rush. And we just need to get a bit more from up front,
If you get more up front from pass rush and you get more up front through the center, as in like the tackles, bringing in someone like Tim Settle, does that make your cornerbacks a little less needy? You know what I mean? To
an extent, it does, yeah. Because if you can rush the quarterback, or one, the receiver can't get too deep. That helps us taking over the top, and two, if you can get him off his mark, then he could become inaccurate. And I think that's exactly what you're after. So I understand there's ways to improve your defense, not just by players, but just scheme as well, and what you're kind of trying to do. I think there's going to be a lot of fakes as well. There's going to be a lot of fluidity within this defense. I'm excited to see it. I really am excited to see it.
Linebacker blitzes, safety blitzes from cross, and man, it's going to be great.
I mean, I think. I think you're going to see Robertson quite a lot, even though I don't know what he's really about. I mean, I've seen him. Yes, he played a lot last year for Detroit, but he was all playing so many different positions because everybody else was injured. So I don't know what he is really good at. What's his main skill? Is it? Everyone says he's a slot, but does that mean he is, or can he play outside like Mikey can? Do you see what I mean? So I just don't know what he's really about yet. But I'll see more when we see more of him. But again, I just think CB room is weak. The starters are okay, but I think the depth isn't there. Same with the safeties as well. I do think the safeties aren't the best after the first two. I think you've got your Quans, you've got I like Revo, but again, he shouldn't really be playing. Do you know what I mean? Like these guys should be third stringers. You know what I mean? In my book, I think Quan.
So Harris, Quan, Scott, Cross. Sorry, Harris, Cross, Quan, Martin. Who else have we got? Tyler Owens, Revo, and Percy Butler.
Yeah, I'm saying, pieces, and I say I don't want to be, even though I love Revo and he does lay the wood and he tries to and get people motivated and stuff like that on the field. I love that about him, but again, he shouldn't really be playing a lot on a safety. He should be on the play. He should be playing
on specials. Unbelievable, yeah, unbelievable.
Exactly. I don't really. If we're seeing him on the field at safety, then something's gone wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like either injuries or whatever. But yeah, I just think we are lacking a little bit there on the DB side, just a little bit. But again, we can't fix everything in one off season. So
Corns play a lot better because of the front.
They should do. They should do. You know, we rush the quarterback a bit more. You know, we can make it work a bit more.
Tackling Scouse will be much improved. Mikey's O will be better on the outside. I think Juan is better suited to inside against the pass, like a nickel corner. Yeah, I get where you're going with that, Craig. Yeah. Completely understand, mate.
I mean, I just don't think Quan's going to be that guy you're going to see the first guy of the rotation. It's not going to be the starter. You know what I mean? It's going to be the.
Will, you're absolutely not wrong. Our safety room is Nick Cross and a bunch of special teamers.
Hey, what's Will Harris? Is Harris a special teamer?
I wouldn't say he's a starter, though. I mean, in this team, he's a starter.
I get his point from the other bits. I get his point from the other one.
Thank you, Scott G, for being with us, mate. Thanks. We appreciate you. He says he's got a run.
I think that's going to be the key bit there. If our D-line and our pass rush and our linebackers can do the job properly, and make our DBs work a hell of a lot easier. And we can maybe mask some of those kind of holes. Do you know what I mean?
You're forgetting as well, right? Mikey's played really well on the outside. He's better than he did when he went into the slot. Trey Amos he's going to be a beast. Mate.
The starters are okay. The starters are decent. You know what I mean? The starters are decent. It's just when you're looking at the depth, that's where you're struggling. You know what I mean? You're looking at your fucking Carl and Viggers and all these other fools. You know what I mean?
Akello Witherspoon.
I don't know with this guy. I mean, I've not seen much of him. I know he played for the Rams. Is it the Rams he played for?
Rams, yeah, he was at the Rams.
Witherspoon. I mean, again, he might be an okay player. And again, he should be a depth piece. You know, he shouldn't be a starter, which is right. But I don't know much about him. So, like the Roberts, I've seen bits, but I don't really know much about them, really, to say how well they are, how good they are, and see if they're good enough to be like, wow, yeah, they've really elevated this DB room, or they just kind of like the status quo average guys that we've already had in the building before. You know, so it's kind of we'll see. We'll wait and see how that pans out with the system. But at the moment, I'm still thinking we're a bit light. So.
Yeah, Craig agrees with you. He says we're paper thin at DBs. Agreed, mate. It's going to be one of them, but we'll have to wait and see with that. Quan is.
Go on, mate.
I agree with you. I do. No, you go for it, Scout.
Oh yeah, so I mentioned I still think Quan's better than the last season's show. Remember, he had a really good rookie year. On the last year, the entire defense struggled. Yeah, you're right, but why are you doing stuff like tackling with your own number plate?
That's ridiculous. Yeah. It's all we ever saw was Quan tackled with he was trying to stamp Martin on someone's on their helmet. Yeah. Honestly, that just
That's what I mean. It's kind of I'll never get that out of my head. You know what I mean? That's one of them things. It's like Mark Sanchez with the butt fumble. You know, it's kind of like it's always one thing that it's always going to stick in your head when you think about him. Do you know what I mean? Mark Sanchez butt fumble. Quan Martin tackling with his own nameplate. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. It's like, how are you doing that? Like, what are you doing? Wrap up. You know, use your arms.
It is crazy.
I mean, but yes, tackling will be a lot better this year as well. I think Chanel's a beast at tackling, great open field tackler. Sonny Styles is good at it as well. You know what I mean? Like we've got some actual proper tacklers on this team now. So I'm just hoping on the DB side that they can actually still throw it in. I mean, Mikey can tackle. But he can be shifted off as well a couple of times. But it's understandable for a DB, I suppose. Well, yeah, valid, Craig, valid.
if you're listening to this in audio, it says my gran can tackle better than Quan, and she's been dead for 20 years. Okay. And on that note, we'll move on to the next segment of the show, mate, which is fan questions. So people have submitted fan questions, and thank you for everybody who's done one. Mike Allen, bus driving fraud, Wolves in the championship again. Sorry, Mike, mate. I don't mean to be anything. You need to start supporting Buffalo as well. He said, how do we get Scouse to Washington's draft as International Fan of the Year? And are you, Scouse and Burrows, going anywhere?
Anyway.
Oh, going anyway. Oh, so not anywhere. Sorry, I thought you said anywhere. I'm like, I'll probably be going somewhere with Scouts pretty soon, but I don't know.
So the first part of the question, mate, there's not going to be any more International Fan of the Years. It's been decided there
at the moment.
The way it stands at the moment is Captain Morgan, who are the sponsors of it, have pulled sponsorship. So it was only a 3. I think it was only a 3-year deal to create it, but I don't think anybody wants to take over it. So I think that's going to be the end of the International Fan of the Year, and it might even be the end of the own Fan of the Year, the actual American version of the Fan of the Year as well. So, which is a shame really, because I think it's a great thing to do, to show the love to people who love the team from thousands of miles away. It's yes, it's easier nowadays than it has been 20 years ago, where you could hardly find out the scores and we had to wait for a book to find out the score a week later and stuff like this. That's what it was like 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, and
obviously you were listening to on like long wave radio on
Forces Radio. I was trying to listen to long wave radio, and it was awful. You could hardly understand what was going on. It was all it was horrific, right? And that was like 3 a.m. trying to watch a Monday night game. Do you see what I mean? So it's kind of listen to a Monday night game. Yeah, I mean, and I grew up with that, and a lot of us have, and a lot of us fans can get behind that and understand that, and that's how we how we understand what the scores were, because we couldn't. There's no real internet then. The internet wasn't really like that, and
it wasn't a thing.
It wasn't really a thing 25 years ago, was it? I mean, it wasn't even there.
Exactly.
So it's and so things now have changed a lot. We can get the games. We can talk to each other instantly now on social media and all the rest of it while the game's on. So it's fantastic how things have changed. But I think it is still quite nice though as a team to appreciate somebody who does take the time to love the team from afar, and the effort that they have to put in to be a fan as well. Because the timings aren't great for most of us in Europe, or even the guys over in Australia and stuff like that.
Oh man,
the timings are awful for us to try and watch the games, and we still do it. We're still up at like 3 a.m, finishing at 6, and we're going for work for 7. We're doing stuff like that all the time, and we're willing to do it. And because we love the team, and I think being honest, that should be rewarded. I'm not saying that everybody or thousands of people, but one person a year from wherever. I think that is a really nice thing to do as an appreciative effect. At the end of the day, it's no skin off the team's nose, is it? I mean, at the end of the day, how much does it cost them? A couple of grand, something like that. At most 10
at most. Yeah,
and I'm talking ridiculous money there. 10. I think it's a lot less than that. But even if it was 10, I mean, what's 10K to a Washington Commanders? Or these guys are getting. Even like any besides a normal person, staff person, everyone's in shed loads of money more than that per day. You know what I mean? So it's not like they're going to miss it. So it's kind of it's just a really nice thing, a nice gesture to other people. I think it isn't just us, because we've been lucky enough to go there. But I mean, in general, I think it still should be a thing. Being honest,
Jesse says it will continue, and then International Fan of the Year will 100% continue. We were told yesterday. Well,
who told you, Jesse?
That's the other thing. You see, you're hearing things, and I get that. You might be a bit more connected than I am, obviously, with speaking to the team. If the teams take it on, that's totally different. But from what I've heard from NFL execs that are in our group chat, they're saying that it's been binned. So it might be fake news. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens with that. But I agree with what your point, Scouse, by saying it should be, it should be something.
It should be something that stays.
And I really hope it does.
Or any of us that we know, even the German guys or whoever.
Exactly.
I think it still should be something that is done every year in my book. But it's a great idea. Whoever brought it up in the first place. It's a great idea.
Paul Fiona Turner's put a question into us. He says, drafting a QB in the 7th round was a surprise. Would you let Mariota go if a decent 2027 pick was offered up for him?
It depends what you mean by decent. Is it? Do you mean like a 5th rounder, something like that for 27, potentially,
or a 4th or something like that?
Something like 4th or 5th potentially. But again, you've got to really like this Kalinakis fella. If you don't, then you're going to leave yourself high and dry with Hartman and Kalinakis, who you're thinking might not be ready yet. You're right, Craig. Yeah, me and Scouse having conversations at 5 a.m. post game after matches. Yeah, we should be shipped over at least once a year. Yeah, man. I mean, I say it's the things that we do. I mean, I know a lot of fans. That will go to bed because they're up early at 4, but yeah, the game's kicking off at 8, and they finishes at like 12 or 1 o'clock or something like that, and they don't work at 6, but they're going to bed not even watching the game at all, and it's kind of like, welcome to our world, mate. Like our game starts at 1. You know what I mean? Like, so without finishing at 1, it's starting at 1. And then we're still going to work the next day. It's.
I really hope that is the case, Jesse. Jesse says the sponsorship contract was up, but they'll definitely find another sponsor. I really, really hope they do. I hope it continues, because it can't just be, 3 years and out, and yeah, it's not going to be ideal. Who is trading anything for a backup QB? Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, I understand where you're coming from with that.
Exactly. I mean, I say if you could get a 4th or 5th next year, I think next year's draft's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be deep.
Yeah, I do too.
Divisions, a lot deeper than this class this year. So I would be contemplating it for sure. But again, I can't see anybody offering anything. They'll probably say, "Nah, maybe we'll just let you wait till the end. If you really need you, we'll give you a 7th or something," and that's not really worth it then. So
next question from Paul is his final one this week, and thank you, Paul, for putting them in. He says, "I'm sure we'll talk about it anyway, but what are your thoughts on AP moving away from high RAS scoring in the latter rounds this time?"
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier.
Briefly touched on it, but yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? Especially when you look at Matt Golbin.
Well, they're looking at ball players, aren't they? Looking at ball players rather than actual. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand that all ball players, but obviously there's some are more athletically gifted, i.e., athletic freaks, but not really great at the game. They're like kind of, we can potentially. We've always tried to be. Well, if we coach that guy, he's got the athleticism to be able to do it. But the thing is, though, if you haven't got the IQ, you can't really learn what they want you to do. Do you know what I mean? So our athleticism becomes wasted. So this time round, it's kind of come along like we're getting players who might have the IQ, but might not. I say not as explosive, or might not be as as athletically gifted as others. Golbin's a prime example. I think he could be, say, a decent center. But there's limits to his game, and but that's what you're going to get though down at the bottom end of the drafts. You're going to get that. There's going to be limitations in some of these guys, and I'd say, was I unhappy with any of the picks? Not really. I mean, the only one that kind of surprised me was the Williams one, because I didn't really know much about him, being honest. Because I didn't think I never really looked at him, because I thought he was going before us, like way before us. So I didn't even look into his skill set or anything, So when he fell, it was that was a great surprise pick. But in general, yeah, there's going to be pros and cons to every player. So.
Yeah, Rod says on that point, he says, looking at a fit for the new schemes created by the new coordinators.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like they're trying to find players to fit their schemes, more scheme fit rather than athletic trait, which again is, I think that is important, especially I think at the lower end of the draft board. I think if you kind of say get guys who've got the football IQ is better than having the true athletic trait. In my book, same positions, you know what I mean? So,
Scott G is with us before. He's dipped, but thank you for being here, mate. He says, "What is your biggest concern about each draft pick?" So interesting.
Okay,
we could take it one by one. So, what's your biggest concern about Sonny Styles then?
Well, I mean, biggest concern is I'd say lack of experience playing linebacker. So he played it 2 years of his whole life. So
yeah.
I mean, he's got to learn on the fly and be the man at the same time, So it's going to be a change for him for sure. It's going to be a challenge. And when I look at his tape, doing things that sometimes he can get caught with is actually he gets latched onto by the O lineman. And he needs to shed his block a bit better. But again, you'll learn that. These aren't big problems. You know what I mean? These aren't big problems for Sonny Styles. I've got no real huge oh my God, I'm worried about him because of this. But those things will come with reps. I've got no problem. And coaching. I've got no issues with Styles, really. Yourself?
Antonio Williams for me. I'm moving on to him. My biggest concern with him is he just going to be another body in the wide receiver room, which has got a bit of speed and a bit of yak, but not a lot else. How are we seeing wide receivers developed is more my concern with him. I'll move you on to Joshua Josephs, mate.
Well, for him, it's more about is he going to be involved in the run game or not? I don't think he will be. I just don't think his skill set suits that at all. But so if you put him in the right positions, you haven't really got a lot to worry about. Because say he's actually very explosive. I say he's got a nice bend to him. Get around the edge of the corner, the tackle. Relentless, high motor. Great, everything you want in a pass rusher, to be honest. But you can't be on the field every down. He's not one of them guys. So as long as you know how to play him and use him, then you don't really have a big problem. If you're going to try and use him like a 3-down edge guy and all the rest of it, you're going to struggle because he's not very good in the run game. So you got to really train him up in the run game and set the edge as well, not just be a rusher. Learn a few more stunts as well, a few more different tricks. That he's got one move that the kind of arch bend underneath, and then the kind of swim, knock the guy's arm down. That's his main move. So if we could learn another one of those, that'd be really useful. But again, in general, for what we got him for and what his skill set really is, I don't really have a huge issue with any concerns, really.
Will says Joseph stops the run a lot better than Scouse is giving him credit for. He uses his length well to hold his edge.
Yeah, I mean, I from what I've seen, we're fine. I'm quite happy for to be proven wrong, shall we say, when it comes to the season. If he does coming in, sets the edge, and does really well, fantastic, even better for us.
Kaytron Allen, for me, then the biggest concern from me with him is size and speed. Is he actually gonna be able to, when he finds the hole, to take yards after contact and be down the field? I don't think he is. He's not that kind of rusher. It's kind of running back. Sorry. So Matt Golbin for you, Scouse. I think we've already covered that one probably.
Yeah, we mentioned it on the kind of. It's his lateral quickness is the biggest problem. So if you want to try and if we are going to try and use those kind of outside zone runs or those screens where you're trying to get your lineman out fast and out in front, stuff like that, he's going to struggle with that. Right? That's not his game. You don't want to play him in that kind of system. That makes sense. If you're going to do a lot of inside run stuff, he's good. He's good at that. So he's good to get to second level, stuff like this. So kind of my concerns is if he does actually have to play, you've got to make sure the scheme fits him. Otherwise, it's going to go wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like he will get shown up a little bit. You know what I mean? So that's my only issue but again, that's on the coaches. You know what I mean? More than you've picked this guy, and then you've got to coach this guy. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, well, can you get better? Can you make him better in that respect? Can you do that? And if you can't, after 2-3 years, then is it the player or is it the coach? You know what I mean? So, but
for me, final pick, Ethan Kalikmanis. Can you pronounce his name? Is probably my biggest concern. Second biggest concern is that he doesn't beat out Sam Hartman, and it just turns into an absolute shit show. And it's like, oh, he's not actually as good as we thought he was, in training camp, and not too sure. And then he just ends up flopping and going nowhere. Again, you picked him. He's a 7th round pick right at the bottom of the roster. Am I going to be really that upset about it? Probably not, mate, to be fair. But you want to see someone develop. You still, if you bring in someone in as a draft pick, you still want to see them develop, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I want to see how good DJ is, as in Williams, the coach.
Yeah, DJ Williams. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because obviously everyone loves this guy, and obviously we know his dad is. It's kind of
exactly, yeah.
So and he meant to have done a good job with Atlanta last year. I want to see if he can actually train and coach players and coach quarterbacks. Can he get them better? Now, again, is he going to improve Mariota? No, he is what he is. You know what I mean? Like he's 30 yards. This is what his skill set is, and he's not going to be able to change that. JD, you might get a bit more out of. You can change him up a little bit. He's got a lot more room to grow. But for me, I want to see how good he makes these third stringers. The Hartmans if he stays, and Kalinakis, whatever his name is. Callie Akmanis. Oh, Callie A.K. Manis, Will says.
Callie A.K. Manis, yeah, that's it. Callie Akmanis, yeah.
Yeah, let's see. So that's what I want to see. I want to see, can he see any improvement? Now, again, we shouldn't really see Kalinakis. Kalinakmanis. I can't even say his name properly. But,
yeah, I know, yeah.
But yeah, it'd be nice to see if he can improve him. I want to see if he can actually coach. No, that's the other thing. I want to see our players improve.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
That coach is a little bit, yeah.
Final question then is from Yam, who's in our chat at the minute. Thanks, Yam. He says, how do we feel about the O-line, brackets, centre, and wide receiver rooms as they stand, assuming we get Ayuk?
Well, if we get Ayuk, I mean, yeah, I think our receiver room is pretty solid, to be fair. You know, you've got two out and out. You've got an out and out wide receiver 1. You've got Ayuk as a wide receiver 2, and you could even potentially say at his best he's a 1B. So
at his best, is he better than Terry? I'm going to put it out.
Oh, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose you could even say that. Yeah, I mean, I did it, a few years back, when he was up for his big contract. So then you got those two on the outside, then you got the other guys who can work underneath. You got Williams, who's a killer against zone defense, which is a lot of teams play in the NFL, play a lot of zone. I think he will get a lot of success, Williams. Then obviously you've got your Jalen Lane where you can go deep down the middle. You've got different guys. You've got Burks as well, who's a bigger body receiver. I think he's like 6'1", 6'2", something like that. Burks. Again, red zone options. Our wide receiver room looks like a B if we get Ayuk in the team. At the moment, I'd probably say it's a C. What would you say?
Overall room, I'd say B. Not even. I'll go B minus, maybe B. Yeah, solid B. I think it's solid. I think it's got 3 wide receivers.
Ayuk in it, or without Ayuk?
That's with Ayuk in it. I still think you need a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
I think we're C at the moment. I think we'd be a B if we got him. And then what was the other one? Center and offensive line.
Yeah.
Well, say it's still an open question for me. I don't like Allegretti. I think he shouldn't see the field unless we've got injuries, and that's my thought on him. I'm just dead honest about it. I think I'm hoping to God that Goldman's ready, which he probably isn't, but I'm hoping that he is. So
or that a centre gets cut somewhere.
But what's that mean?
Or that a centre gets cut from somewhere.
Yeah. So a centre gets cut, or we do. We're not going to trade for anybody. So it's because we're not going to give away our draft picks for next year, being in Washington as well. We just can't do that. So absolutely. It's going to be a tough one, but I just think I'm worried about centre still at the moment because I need to see what Gulby can actually do. I know what our boy Allegretti is all about. It's not it. Chris Paul and Coleman at left guard. I think they're going to be fighting up between themselves there. I think Paul is a decent pass pro left guard, but he's awful in the run game. Tunsil's obviously an absolute beast, can do it all. Right side, Cosme, and then you've got Wiley. Now Wiley as a backup, I can handle that. I can. Again, I don't want to see him on the field, but in a pinch, he can do something for you. You know what I mean? I don't like him still, but he's better than Allegretti. And then, after we got Cosme, we got Josh on the outside.
Conway as well, yeah, the outside. Happy.
And then say if you got after that, you've got Wiley can play tackle and guard.
Trent Scott as well.
Trent Scott again. He does okay, but again, he doesn't move any needle.
But you're not wanting to see him, are you, as a swing tackle?
I don't want to see any of the backups really. I mean, I'd love to see my first team be fit and available all season, but it's unlikely it's going to happen. But that's what I'd love to see. But yeah, and again, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And if your weakest link is Allegretti, you're going to get pumped. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just facts. Like Jaden's running for his life, right up the middle. People's going to keep dogging us up the middle. So it's But so I'm still worried about centre, but I just hope Goldman's got what it takes to beat him out.
Yeah, agreed. Right, let's bring this all together then, Scouse, and head out. Commanders fans, this is where it all starts. Hyping is one thing, but developing is everything. We've got new talent, new competition, lot to prove heading into this season. If you've made it this far, you are part of our community. And thank you, everybody in the chat, for being here. Thanks, everybody who submitted a question. If you like what we do, make sure you put a hit the like button, do all the subscribes, do all that sort of stuff. Trent Scott is owed a deep ball, absolutely right. But yeah, We'll be back the same time next week with more Commanders content, breakdowns, reactions, and everything in between. Until next time, enjoy the off season, raise hail, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.